back to another episode of Monday Mortgage Mania. I'm here again with Kyle with Movement Mortgage.
Mamacita needs a margarita, right?
Because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I'm with it. Can we get some right now? Let's make this a little bit more enjoyable.
Let's wrap this up first. So last time we chatted, we talked about the current market. We talked about interest rates that we were seeing and how it's, creating a frenzy and people are getting nervous and anxious. But we wanted to talk about some creative ways to make it more affordable to both buy and sell in this market. So Kyle is going to talk to us about this thing that we've been hearing about buying down a rate and what that means. It can get super complicated. So I brought in an expert to break it down for us.
Thank you.
Give us the tea.
Yes, give you the tea. All right. So there's a lot of different ways to temporarily or permanently make your mortgage payment lower or more affordable for right now. What you're starting to see a lot of realtors and mortgage consultants like me talk about are buy downs. What a buy down is let's say an interest rate is a 6% today. A 1-0 buy down means the first year of that mortgage payment, your rate and payment will be based off of 5% rather than 6%. Once that year is up, that means your rate and payment is going to go back to that 6% interest rate. So that first year, let's say you get a new job or so many different life situation scenarios that maybe that first year you just need a payment a little bit lower to kind of walk you into making those payments, to get you comfortable, right? That's what a buy down is for.
Okay.
And then there's also 2-1 buy downs, which means the first year the interest rate's 2% lower than the current market rate. So again, if it was a 6% rate that you qualify for, then it would be what? I'm supposed to be a math expert here, so 4%, right? For the first year, 5% for the second year, then it goes to 6%.
Okay.
So a 2% difference on a mortgage payment is humongous. Huge. So hey, Kyle, that payment right now is just a little tough for me. I can make it, it's just making me nervous. Hey, let's look into a buy down, lower your payment by a few $100s a month. Is that gonna make you more comfortable temporarily?
Right.
Yes, no, depends on you, depends on the client.
But can it also be sort of like a placeholder? So let's do this and take advantage of that, buying down the rate for a smaller interest rate while the market adjusts and the interest rates come back down, and then we refinance and lock into a rate that you're comfortable with?
Exactly. So let's say you do a 2-year buy down, 2-1 buy down, and 9 months later, since you started, the rates have dropped and you want to refinance. Whatever money you have left over in that buy down goes back towards your principal balance. So you're not losing anything.
Excellent.
So it's not like, I wish I wouldn't have done this because now I'm losing all this money that could have been used for that buy down. Well, no, it's just going back towards your principal balance.
That makes perfect sense.
So no losses there. Another option that people do is a permanent buy down or buying discount points. So, hey, let's say again, your rate is a 6% interest rate and you want a 5. You just want a 5%. That number just looks good to you. Any lender could give you basically any interest rate that you want. It just comes to the point of affordability. Does it make sense for you to spend some amount of money to buy your rate and permanently buy your rate down to that amount? At the end of the day, it's math. If it takes you 10 years to make that money back, I wouldn't think it's a good avenue. And right now with where rates are and where the market is, each situation is going to be different, but I don't know if buying down your rate permanently in this market is the best idea.
And that's going to be just unique based on
each person's scenario.
Absolutely. But a discount point, isn't that roughly 1% of the loan amount or purchase price?
I think we could use that for right now. Each scenario is going to be a little bit different when you start getting into pricing and rates and rate sheets, and rates could change multiple times per day. It gets a little complicated, but the good news is if your lender's not showing you this stuff, they're not doing something right, they could give you...
That's why you need to call Kyle.
That's why you need to call me. There's something called an approximate loan cost illustration. That's something that's going to break down all the fees, what they're charging you and whatnot. A lot of companies will say, hey, Kyle, or they're offering me an interest rate better, 1% interest rate better than you are. Well, send your ALKI. Have them send their approximate loan cost illustration. And then you're going to see this lender is charging you $10,000 to buy a rate. it's not a good deal anymore, is it?
Right.
So
Yeah.
just be careful.
Important
Make sure
to stay informed.
if your lender is not sending you information to see in front of you and it's just verbal, you might want that paper.
So I appreciate you breaking that down for us because it's difficult to understand, but I think it's important. I need buyers and sellers to understand that there are some creative and unique ways to work around the interest rate problem that we're seeing. Likewise, when I am with sellers at a listing appointment, we're talking about these things in advance. We're having a conversation. We're talking about what could potentially happen and how to circumvent that. Sellers can offer to pay down that or buy down that rate for the buyers.
Yes, seller concessions. That is
Right.
what she's talking about, is a seller can offer money per se to give to the buyer so it's more affordable, asset wise, down payment wise, whatever they want to utilize that money for.
Right.
The seller can help with that. And it happens a lot more than you think it does.
So that concession that could be used towards, like you said, anything, down payment. It could be used towards the interest rate. So then buyers have a choice. So the point is that just because we're in different times doesn't mean that we don't have correct or thought of ways, creative ways to make it successful for everybody.
Yeah, make it easier to sell, make it easier to buy.
Yes.
And that's why you use experts like us that know what we're doing.
What he said. Time for a margarita?
Margarita time.
Vámonos.